less frequent in general as far as podcasts are concerned.
Maybe we're just out of date, Jordan. Maybe we're old and
I think
feeble.
I don't know about feeble, but I'm pretty great, I think, as far as not being feeble. But out of date, there's a very strong possibility of that. I think there's a very strong possibility of that.
Yeah,
But
like we haven't changed our format. We've been doing this for the better part of a decade now, and we
Mhm.
our other than like mic qualities going in and out in various ways, our format's basically been the same.
Yeah, and
So
I mean, at this point, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I do know that there are some podcasts, even some that I enjoy, where when I listen to them, I like the people, I like the personalities. I even would say I like the core of the content and the conversations, but just the old sort of like what you been playing, and okay, now we're gonna do the news roundup, and then our big topic of it's just like they're still doing podcasts the way the gaming podcasts have been done for like 20 years.
mhm.
And I'm thinking of one in particular that's insanely popular. It's one of the biggest podcasts, but I like it, but I'm just going, you haven't changed this at all. This has just been the same thing you've been doing since 2007, man. Like, I guess if it works in some cases, if I feel like if people like the personalities, they're coming back regardless, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So I went on a small trip earlier this month.
A small
And
trip. That's a nice way
a
to
small
describe
trip.
it.
Well, I mean, it was only like 3 days, so that's small, I suppose. But
Katie's been playing Dragon Age of the Veilguard, folks, and
I have. This isn't even my first time doing it either.
yeah,
So-
okay. So there's number one. We should all be excited about that in general because she's going to tell us things.
I
She's
can tell
allowed to
you this
tell us some
time.
things.
Mm.
Now is the time when she can finally begin to tell us some things. Okay, but first let's preamble it a little bit. Let's preface it
Yes.
a little bit. You have been playing. You're allowed to say this now, right? You guys have been talking about this.
Yeah, yeah.
You have been playing prior versions, earlier builds of Dragon Age of the Veilguard for how long? I guess in like 60 seconds or less, tell people
It's
how
been
much you've been playing this game over the
it's
time.
it's been a couple years now. The first build we played was the alpha, and that was in 22. I could be getting the year wrong on that. It's been a minute. It's been a couple years, and then we played again about a year later, and that was, I guess, I don't know what the build names are, not alpha build, but after it.
Sure.
And then this one is a more final build, the one that I played recently, and they have been progressively getting a lot better. And it's funny from my perspective because I go from the alpha build that's like, well, I like the lore at least, to the second build. I'm like, oh, this would be pretty cool. And now this one is I'm gnawing at my walls. I am I am clawing at Bioware to let me play
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah. This now it feels like a video game, right? Like now it actually feels like a
Hmm.
done thing.
Well, it's even like little tweaks, little things they've changed in like the writing and the staging and the whatever that like maybe it's based on our feedback. Frankly, I don't remember what I've said at this point.
Mhm.
Um to them because it's been well over a year. And I've just loved what they've done, and I very excited to at least get to share some of this with you guys. Um so yeah,
This
I
is
guess let's
this is super exciting. So you've so on this most recent run, what was the amount of time you played? What's the section generally? Like how much did you play on this recent one?
So, we played, let's see, we got there at like, I don't know, 9, about 9 o'clock in the morning. And they just they had like a small presentation of like, here's what you're about to play. And they just kind of let us go at it. And like they did have some catering of like, okay, here's some breakfast, here's some lunches, even here's a dinner, because we were there till about 5. Well, we stopped playing at 5, and then there was like a Q&A, kind of like a conversation of us talking about the game like afterwards. So I think it officially ended at 6. For the most part, I just kind of like was eating at my desk the entire time and was playing. So however
Mhm.
long that is, 9 to 5, we were just playing the game. Now it was broken up into sections. It wasn't the full like whatever. So I actually hold on. I don't know if
So this
I'm
is
supposed to have it, but I
This is
have
this
a
is a side note for people.
yes.
I am not. We are not going to discuss this right now, but I'll tag it. I'll put it at the end of the episode. I want to ask about the food. Don't ask me why. Don't answer it. Don't answer it. Don't answer it right now. I'm just that guy. As a person who has been fed by many a corporation, I'm always curious about these things. But we're not going to annoy people by talking about that up front. You were about to say you're pulling some information. What were you grabbing?
Yeah, they gave us some papers that, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to have it, but I do. No one ever said I couldn't take it.
Yeah, there you go.
So this one that I'm currently waving around is a sheet of paper that details what we're going to be playing. They let us play 5 different sections. I'm only allowed to talk about 2.5.
And a half.
Yes. Well, the last one is weird because it was like, okay, you can talk about everything up to this one point.
Right.
In truth, I did not actually play that section because I had already played it and it was pretty unchanged from when I had played it previously. So I have not seen the new updated version, but like looking over at people and talking to some people on the council who did play it, it didn't seem like it was that big of a change. And so I opted to spend all of my time in the 4th section, which was completely new to me. And I was just, I want everyone to imagine. It's like it was content that was a little bit later in the game that I haven't seen before. And I want you to imagine me playing at the computer looking like a rabid dog. And this very nice woman coming up like, hey, I just want to let you know, I've noticed you're still playing section 4, and this is just a time check to let you know that if you want to start playing section 5, you have to stop now. And I'm like, ah! I was very, like, in reality, I was very polite. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I'm like just going back to section 4 going,
Caitie shapeshifted into a bear. Just wild shaped and was just like, get away from my section 4.
Yeah. No, like I think a lot of people mostly skipped section 4 because you couldn't record it. And unfortunately I can't talk about anything there, but it was amazing. I know I deeply apologize that I can't really talk much more about it than I deeply enjoyed it. It was also more like, I do feel like the first couple sections of the game, they kind of railroad you a bit, and section 4 was a section where it was not railroaded. So I think that's where a lot of my excitement comes in. I was getting to explore and find other stuff.
Okay, so multiple sections, some you can talk about, some you can't talk about. So my first question, and I will ask, if it's okay with you, I will ask you several questions. But the number one is just, of the sections that you played and can talk about, what did you think overall? What's your like top 2 sentence takeaways from how those sections look and how you felt playing them?
Oh God. Okay. I kept saying this, so I like when I was there, and so I feel like I'm just going to repeat it now. I feel like the dog that caught the car.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
It was like, oh damn, this is kind of everything I've been wanting for a minute, and I don't. IGN recently had they've been reviewing it, and one of the good quotes that the reviewer had, unfortunately I forget her name, was it Alex or Alyssa? I don't remember. But she was saying that when she had a hands-on preview, she just felt relief that this was going to be a good game. And I definitely feel that too. I completely agree. Like being able to really, this is the first build I've been able to play where the codexes are in. So like, of course there's footage of me just like digging in the codex like a little squirrel. And
well, codex goblin over here just trying to get all that good codexy goodness.
Basically, and it was very fun to like scroll through and be like, yes, sexuality and Thetis from Dragon Age Inquisition. Welcome back, good friend. You know?
This is the biggest lore nerd quote ever.
What was really funny is that codex entry, they used the image of the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer tarot card of Isabella, and so that was really funny. Anyway, yeah, I feel like the short answer is I feel like the dog that caught the car. It was something I've been wanting the whole time, and now that it's here, I feel almost like overwhelmed and I don't know what to do with it. But like in a positive way. I'm just sitting here playing like I have a lot of work to do after release. Oh my God.
That's fantastic. That's excellent. God. Alex Stedman, senior news writer from IGN, who did the most recent preview that you're referencing.
Yes.
She said also, she said something like, I think the 10 years of waiting is going to be worth, that was her impression. That was one of her, I think, bullet point
Yes.
lines in that, which is very encouraging for a lot of us who have not played anything yet. To hear something like that is encouraging.
Yeah, I struggle to like say 10 years of a dev cycle is worth it just because like that's 10 years of these poor people under NDA and that just
Sure.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's also technically like we've been waiting 10 years, but the game's only been like the game as Veilguard as we know it has only been in dev cycle for maybe 6, I would say. Like there's also like some time in between where it wasn't really being worked on.
Yeah,
But
there's been
like
long history of it
yeah.
shifting from one type of game in the Laidlaw era to a
Mhm.
different type, and that's all been documented, and we've talked about it before. But
Yeah.
so I mean, one thing you say, you feel like the dog who caught the car, which to me
Mhm.
translates to a dream coming true, basically,
Yeah, a
right?
little bit.
You never thought you would get this. What's the main driver of that? Is it the lore? Is it that you like the characters? Is it the completion of storyline threads from the earlier games? Like, what drives that the most?
Well, I would say a lot of that honestly. That I will say like there's a lot of stuff I don't know how it's resolved yet. So I could totally when I finish the game and roll credits completely change my mind of like how could they end it like that?
Of course,
Um
yeah.
so there is an element of that and like there hasn't really been any like completion of a lot of lore points that we've come across, and there's even stuff where like I thought the lore was going to go this way, but then it turned another way. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But like it's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of twists I find interesting. There's like the characters I really like. I will say, like of all iterations of the game, the only thing that I have solidly not complained about and like really loved was just like the characters themselves, which should make sense. Like every
Mm,
Bioware game, the characters are usually the best part, and I
yeah,
agree with
absolutely.
this one. And I also think just like the mood. I don't know if that's the right word, but just they the team I think have how's the best way to describe this? One thing I really love about Dragon Age is that it's about like people and like there's like this whole world going on behind them and like this whole giant um politics and wars and all this other high level stuff, but at the end of the day what it really matters is like someone was just sad and like kind of
Mm,
deconstructing that. And I feel like Veilguard really leans into that, where like these huge horrible things have happened because someone was just very human and someone was
sure.
just like whatever. And I love stories like that, so like seeing some of those moments come across and be like uh happen, I was just sitting there like just gnawing at my keyboard of like yes I love this. This is a
That's
very
awesome.
it's I don't know, it's hard to like give a glowing review of Veilguard because it is so catered to the things like I highly enjoy that like I feel almost bad giving it a glowing review because like I don't know if everyone's going to feel the same way I do, but it just feels like the writers came down upon heaven and said we're going to give Caitie everything she wants. So
I mean, I think it's your subjective impressions of it, and everyone here. When I say everyone here, I mean most of the people who will listen to the show are the faithful, anyhow. So I think you're.
the faithful.
That's what I'm calling them. That is my official term for the hardcore Dragon Age community that like stuck around and kept listening to this show of all. You know what I mean? Like there was a
Yeah,
lull there where we were in the middle of this. I don't know what to call it, desert between Inquisition and the Veilguard. But
the long waits.
so what part of the story did this cover for parts 1 and 2, and what non-spoilery takeaways can you use to describe it? Given that for some people, any description is a spoiler, but
Yeah,
you
I
know,
will do my best. So, section 1 was basically you start a new game and you get to go through like the prologue of what like the gameplay reveal was that we saw like a couple months. It's been a while. And then it also goes into a little bit after that where you meet Bellara and like a lot of the stuff that was actually described in the Game Informer articles. And then when that quest was over, a little like splash screen just, showed up like, thank you, you finished whatever. Please, please let someone load in the next part of the game. And then from that, you can choose whatever section. Most people went off to section 2, and they had preloaded like a couple different characters. You basically choose like if you want to play rogue, mage, or warrior. I think the second time I started out as a warrior because I wanted to try two-handed warrior build because I've been seeing a lot of people saying they want some footage of that, so I have it somewhere. I'm not very good. So then I went to mage, and which then I was playing a Kunari with a beard. And then that quest is basically the Lucanus recruitment quest, which some people are definitely going to find spoilery. The information as of right now, IGN has already like revealed it like last week. So if you're up to date with the IGN stuff, there's not really going to be anything new to say.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they have done this before, right? I mean, like previews that they did of Mass Effect Andromeda were of some of the loyalty missions. Like that's just those are big headline moments that people want to see in BioWare games. They have to show something, and they presumably want to show their best moments. So
yeah. And that's also what kind of was Section 4 was. Section 4 was trying to do a loyalty quest. Was about doing a loyalty quest, but they had like the whole world open up. So of course I'm sniffing in there like a bloodhound.
Okay, so one question that immediately jumped. You said Section 1 was start a new game. Did you get to use the character creator in this build?
Yes, we did.
Caitie, tell us everything.
I don't even know where to start. So yeah, okay. So you the game opens up and you have like a little narration from Varric. Technically it's already been released, but I do think it's changed. I haven't actually compared the two as of right now. But then you go into character creator. You get to choose between Kunari, human, elf, dwarf, and it goes off. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of it's so like visual. I don't know how to describe it. So like, I guess yeah. What are your burning questions for character creator, Jordan?
They talked about the fact that you could change the lighting in the character creator.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
But how does it look amazing? Like, do the characters look really good in character creator?
I think so, yeah. So there's I actually have the footage pulled up on my computer real quick. Let me just
and I guess as you're pulling up the footage, do you because I think the root of why I ask the lighting question is because everyone in BioWare games has done this for years, where we spend an hour, or if you're a crazy person like me, 2.5 hours in character creation, and then the first cutscene you go, ugh, that's not what I wanted. That's not how I want my character to look. Do you feel like that has been remedied by what they've offered?
Well, okay, first off, there is 4 different lighting choices. There's
Nice.
the like basic, this is like regular lighting. You have a daytime lighting, an evening lighting, and like a afternoon lighting, I'm going to say. Quite frankly, if you played Final Fantasy 14, it really reminds me of those lighting choices.
Interesting.
I know a lot of the dev team quite like Final Fantasy 14, and there's quite a lot of aspects of this game. I'm like, I'm sniffing a little Final Fantasy here, guys. So that is that. As far as the lighting goes for character creators, so when I played, I decided I was going to roll a Kunari because everyone's talking about how ugly the Kunari is. I'm like, I just want to see if I could try to make like a Dragon Age 2 Kunari. I think I was like mildly successful. I that's a whole other. We'll get there in a second. But I decided to have white hair, and the hair is beautiful. It is bouncy. It's so fun to watch. My only complaint is that the coloring of it and like how it reflects on whatever lighting it is can sometimes make the color a bit funky. And I had white hair, and so like it feels like whatever lighting I was in, that was my hair color. If it's nighttime, which is a lot of the prologue was set in.
Okay, yeah.
My hair is a little bit blue, which it didn't bother me. It still felt right. But at least in character creator, I'm sitting there like, why is my hair gray? And they changed the lighting. I'm like, oh, now it's more white. Okay.
Mhm.
And I think that's why we keep seeing complaints of why is Varric's hair dark brown? Why is whatever? Why? Well, it's
Yeah.
because it changes on the lighting and it's a
Which
little
is
bit
technically
funky.
realistic, and I've
Yeah.
noticed this actually in a lot of games. It's not just the Veilguard. I think that that's happening in a lot of games that are having more updated, realistic lighting schemes.
hmm So I think that I do think that is going to annoy some people because you don't have brilliant white hair all the time. But like it, it didn't bother me that much, so
Yeah.
I was okay with it. As far as like you go into character creator, you do a thing, and then you take a look going, "Oh my god, what have I done?" I didn't feel that, but then again, I didn't really feel that with the Inquisition either, because I think that reaction was you couldn't really see your makeup very well, and in this game, you have enough lighting choices that you can do the makeup. So, I think it's pretty good. I will also say, um, so okay, you have the gameplay prologue that was released, or not the prologue, but like the gameplay video that showed like a lot of the prologue, and it ends kind of abruptly. Um, After that ends, there's probably like I'm being very generous with 15 minutes of a cutscene there. It might be
Mhm.
shorter, it might be maybe a little bit longer. And as soon as you have control of your character again, you turn around and there is a mirror of transformation to let you choose whatever, like redo
Oh,
one of your stuff.
absolutely fucking brilliant. That is the best. Holy shit! I don't think I've been this impressed with Bioware since Dragon Age Inquisition. That is the best design choice. Can I just tell you, every RPG should do that? Actually, you know what? Shout out to Bethesda. In Fallout 4, you get a chance to
Mhm.
change the character's look right when you leave the opening section.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So shout out to them because they've done it. But every RPG should do that. Just immediately let you make changes if you're not happy with what you without restarting the story.
Which can I give like a harder time frame? Hold on, I have footage here of me playing. Uh, what what is the time frame of me starting character creator to me hitting a the mirror? So that includes including time in the prologue, or in the character creator making the character, which I think I was a bit rushed, so I think by this count it took me about 20 minutes to make a character.
Okay.
um I
That's a
oh
speed run for me in
sorry
character creation.
sorry, 20 minutes for the character and then 30 minutes to fill around with the Inquisitor stuff. The Inquisitor stuff I am actually not allowed to talk about. I am very sad about that because I have a lot of feelings. We're gonna move on with that. So it takes me 30 minutes just to get out of character creator. And then it's about that would be about 40 minutes for the entire prologue. And then immediately, how long is this video? So I think that's like 43 minutes if I'm doing my math right,
Hmm.
until I hit a mirror of transformation.
Okay. I mean, that's just the placement of it is what I love after an opening section. I think that's appropriate. That's the way it should be.
hmm
This is a minor detail question. Don't
hmm
ask me why I like this so much, but like in Baldur's Gate 3, when you're making your character, you've got the all the way close up, just their head, half
hmm
close up, like head and shoulders, full body.
hmm
Presumably, we have something like that.
Yeah, I my one complaint is that okay, so I'm doing the hair, I'm looking at the hair, and they have some long ass hair options to the point where I'm twirling the character, which that's another fun thing when you're twirling your character crown, wow, character creator around. The character's hair moves, so you really
Oh,
just sit
great.
there, just spinning them and like
That's
twisting the
awesome.
hair in their face. And my complaint was all the way zoomed out. I couldn't see the end of the hair; it was that long. So I had to like go back to the previous menu to get out of the hair selection where it zooms out a little bit more to see where it ends. There is ass long hair in this game, depending how tall your character is.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So that's
Which,
always helpful to me. Like you can see full body from any option.
mhm. And so like I guess my like you can definitely like zoom in and out, but like you might have to go in and out of menus, and it's a little bit annoying, but like it's still pretty decent.
Hmm.
Um, so
Good to
yeah.
know. What's the do you have a favorite odd character creation option? I heard that they have things like what's called cauliflower ear, like that's an option in there. I don't know if that's still in.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you have a favorite weird option?
favorite weird option. Yeah, I so if you see any of my footage I'm going to be releasing, I made a Kunari, and they have a cataracts option. And
Oh, interesting.
I just thought that was kind of cool looking. So my Kunari has some stupidly intense cataracts for no reason. I just thought it was real cool. They also have a vitiligo slider, which I thought was cool. So like you slide it and it's just like a little bit and the spots slowly grow as you slide up in there. Um there is one thing that I really like, you do have body tattoos and you have face tattoos.
Yep.
But along with that, you also have sliders to darken and like basically make go away like different parts of that tattoo. So like the head is divided into, I believe it's like the left face, the left side of the face, the right
Mhm.
side of the face, like the forehead and the neck. And then in the body, it's like the leg, an arm, a back, a chest. And so, like, if you like one aspect of a tattoo, but you don't want all of it, you can slide things down and be like, oh, now it's just like this delicate little portion of it rather than the
Oh,
whole
that
thing.
is excellent.
So like on my Kunari, I liked this one geometric tattoo, but being blunt, it had a tramp stamp, and I'm like, my girl isn't having a tramp stamp, no thank you. So shoop, got rid of that. We're all good.
Hey, I actually love that option. That's fantastic. I wish all games would do that
No,
on tattoos.
it was really neat. I also the hair options I also thought were really good this time. Um,
Tell us about the hair options. I was going to ask about beards, mustaches,
the
facial hair as
beards.
well. Like, what do the options look like there? But
I
overall hair.
I would say the beard options are good. I'm pretty pleased with them. I know Inquisition had, God bless their soul, they they tried with the beards, but they look kind of bad.
Oh yeah,
And
kind of is generous.
yeah, and like they are rough. And on this one, like I was pleasantly surprised. Like they, I believe Corinne mentioned that they have like beads and stuff, and so and like they do. Don't get me wrong. It's just not as prevalent as like for the most part. They're just like regular hairstyles, and they don't really have a lot of bands. They definitely do have like little gold bits and whatever for braids and hair.
Hmm.
But I like maybe if you're looking for dwarven beards and like different braids, maybe there's like, I don't have a number in front of me, but I'm going to say like if you're looking for braids, there might be like 5 or 6. They do also have like they have like a straighter hair look, they have like a curlier hair look for your beard. They have like stubble, some mustaches, some chin stuff, and it also has physics, by the way, so you can twirl that around and do all sorts of fun stuff. And that's pretty cool. So I liked the beards. I was playing around with the male dwarf, and that was kind of fun to like twirl him around and give him long,
Yeah,
luscious hair and his beard, and just both helicoptering around.
excellent.
Um, the head hair I also think is pretty good, or pretty good. It is good. Um, like you've already seen in like the IGN previews. It has like ass long straight hair. They have the exact same thing but curly hair as well.
Great. Yeah.
And there's a lot of curly and black hairstyles with like cute little buns and like braids and whatever. My it's a little bit boring of a hairstyle, whatever, but it is my personal favorite. You have like a half pulled back hair, and it has like a little golden cinch with gems in the back, and I think that's really pretty. Overall, like there are most of the hairstyles don't let you change what's in your hair if there is anything. But
Hmm.
like I think they're like mild enough to not like annoy you. I would say
Yeah.
like it's pretty like can match a lot of things. But then there's the Kunari horns.
Okay. All right. So, what are the horn options?
The horn option. Well, okay. The one thing I thought was odd. You have to have horns if you're a Kunari. You cannot have a hornless Kunari. Or at least I couldn't figure out how to turn off the horns. That
Okay.
is an
In
option.
in Inquisition, you could have a hornless
Yes,
Kunari.
you
Yeah.
could. And in this one, you have to have horns, which I'm frankly not mad at. Like, why play a Kunari without horns? I'm sure there's someone in there like because it makes you special. I'm aware. I don't know why. I understand you probably went to turn them off. I don't know how to help you anyway. But they have like a ton of different horn options. Like if you want to have the horns that Aeroshock has, you can kind of do those.
No, hang on, Katie. What do you mean by kind of? Because that is all I have ever wanted
I
if I'm going to play a Kunari character.
I haven't compared them left to right. There might be a little bit of like little pokey stuff at the side, but like they're huge and have that basic shape to it. They're
Damn.
massive. It's a massive rack. And like they got like the curly Q ram horns. They have like all sorts of styles. And then for every horn style they also have decorations. They have like all metal decorations, which you can change the color of the metal. And then
Mhm.
if you want to be like Tosh and have like that jeweled horn, you can have that option, and you can change the color of the jewel. And it's not like super like you can't like choose the hex code of the jewel, but like they basically have every color. You have like, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, white, pink. And so yeah, it's pretty like and then you can change the color of the horns too. I forgot to say that. If you want like a white horns or brown
Really?
horns or
Wow.
black horns, or they're more like natural colors. Like you can't have hot pink
Sure.
horns unless you play the PC version. You could probably mod that in. Uh, so that's pretty cool. Um, I saw a lot of people. They mentioned in one article somewhere that there's a sclera, if I'm pronouncing it right, slider, so you can
Okay.
change the color of your eyes, like not like the iris, but like the whites of your eyes. Um, that isn't what a lot of people think it is. Um, a lot of people think like, yes, I could have black eyes. No. What it actually is turning your eyes a little bit more yellow.
Okay. I still think that's a valid option to have in there. I think
Mhm.
that's a great option. That's a great detail that I wish I could do in some other RPGs. So kudos to them.
Oh,
Heterochromia.
yes, you have that.
Heterochromia is in good.
They also have a lot of things where you can do uneven features. So you can click a toggle, and one ear could be higher or lower than the other. Same thing with the eyes and the nose.
Oh, fantastic.
So this is the first time you can actually make Dragon Age 2 Hawk looks like he does in Dragon Age 2.
That is absolutely excellent. I hope that our beloved audience is as interested in this as I am, because at this point, it's literally just me asking what I'm curious about. And I'm a character. I mean, you see it in all the comments, honestly.
Mhm.
Like you even see it in IGN's coverage of people going character creator, show us character creator.
Yeah, and I deeply apologize that we're doing this verbally. Because especially since like I am currently looking at the footage and I could share it. This isn't going to like I don't know when we're releasing this podcast, but like on what hour. But the footage that I release like 8 a.m. at the embargo when it gets lifted, is not going to be character creator details. It's going to be Rook background details, because I'm expecting a lot of people to do the character creator details. So I don't want to put in a lot of effort. If I find that no one's really done a good thorough job, I will release my footage. But like I'm doing the backgrounds first for the different factions you choose.
People are very excited about character creator. I'm just happy to
Yes.
hear how much they've done. It sounds like they've got a lot of options in there that people are looking
Mhm.
for, and even some that we wouldn't have asked for.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that they're in there. Body sliders, I think was the term that they
The
used.
body
What is
sliders.
that like? Tell us about that.
So the body sliders, I would say, now granted, I have not played Saints Row 3 in like 10 years plus, if I'm being
Yes.
generous, honestly. Um, and I would say it's actually a lot like that. You have a little triangle, and like that you have the skinny, you have a muscular, and you have the fat, like little bits of the triangle, and you slide your slider somewhere along there to kind of figure out where you're going. Um, I will say that like I've seen a lot of like people say like, oh, this is what my rook's going to be like, and have like a chubbier rook. And like I would say that the chubby rook, well, chubby is not like that chubby. So again, I am going to point everyone to Saints Row 3 for what that looks like. Um, and you can choose like there's different like actual sliders where you choose like the chest size, how tall you want to be, how your butt. There is a bulge. I was a little bit underwhelmed with like the chest, the butt, and the bulge. You can't make it like gratuitous. I would say like looking at the chest size, I would think I would say a generous C cup is what I was able to do in my Kunari. Um, Frankly, that's fine with me, but I know there's going to be some horny people out there that just is sitting there crying in their hands. Uh, but there you go.
Non-gratuitous bulges, everyone. 3 out of 10. You heard it here first.
Yeah, three
No.
out of 10. Terrible game.
um, okay, so yeah, that also sounds very much like Fallout 4, by the way. Fallout 4
Yeah,
also has the triangle of exactly what you described, and
I forgot about that. To be honest.
I think that's a solid way to go, and I think it's
Hmm.
good to give those additional options for sure. So that's good to
Hmm.
hear. Um, What else on hair? You may have actually touched on this already. I can't remember. On the hair colors, what are we talking? Is it like 2 blondes, 2 brunettes? Are they doing the thing? There's like 8 different blondes and all that different stuff. Or is
So,
it the hue thing that they did in Inquisition?
you know what? I am getting confused with the skin slider. Let me scrub through my bit here. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, okay. So, looking at it, you do have to choose squares. How many squares are there? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's 45 different hair colors.
I'd say that's decent. Yeah.
I would say what 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of those are like crazy colors, and I'm talking like pinks, reds, orange, blues, greens.
Okay. Yeah.
Along with all of that, there is a slider for saturation and brightness, so you can, like, I would say it's pretty generous. Of like, if you want to have black hair, the black hair looks black. The white hair kind of looks white, depending on where you are, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, they tried their best. It's a lighting thing. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Unfortunately, and I'm kind of sad about this, there isn't like streaks of gray hair that you can do and stuff like that, which made me sad because I was kind of hoping for, like, make a rook or even inquisitor, because frankly the inquisitor stuff is kind of like rooks, um, with like gray streaks in their hair. Unfortunately, that's just not something that this does. But
Yeah.
like you could probably get the color you're thinking of as turns of hair.
So no. So you said there's no graying slider.
Yeah, you can't make.
Yeah.
You can have
I do love the graying hair.
I know you can have gray hair. Like if you just want pure gray hair, you got it. But like if you want like streaks or highlights or something, this isn't it. It's not going to do it. So that's the one sad thing.
Look, it sounds like they're doing a bang up job. Honestly, there is no one character creator to rule them all. It sounds like this one's definitely going to be a contender. So I'm very excited about this. All right, we've spent a bunch of time on character creator, which I think people will enjoy. But let me ask a couple other things on
Yeah,
here
go
as
for
well.
it.
You mentioned class. You said you wanted to get some footage of warrior, but then you also did mage.
I also played rogue later too.
Okay, so you got a taste of all three on there. Is there anything that's a major standout for you? Like, which one's your favorite, just personally, and any standout items from any of them?
I turned tricks for mage, so I actually quite liked the and I have since I played the first build of it. In it the weapons also changed a bit, but the I forget what they're calling it officially, but it's the dagger and the orb for the mage. I don't know if you've seen this at all.
Okay, yeah, one of the playstyles or subclasses or that. Okay, okay.
And it's which I will say the classes, they all play differently enough. Which, oh, okay, hold on. Let me go through papers I'm not sure if I'm supposed to have, but I have anyway. uh so when we were able to play, you could either do an Xbox controller or uh keyboard and mouse. And of course I chose keyboard and mouse because
Correct.
PC Master Race.
Master Race, yeah, obviously.
Master Race, of course.
Come on.
And what I thought was interesting is that they have two different keyboard layouts depending on uh, what class you chose. So, for example, and I'm looking at a diagram they printed out for us right here. If you play rogue or mage, your right click is your ranged attack. So if you're playing a mage, you do like and you have a well, I guess it is mage no matter what. But like if you're doing like the staff, you do like a little beam. If you have the sword and orb, you throw your ball, that sort of thing. And if you're on the rogue, you pull out a bow and arrow. Now, if you do a warrior, however, they did some testing and they thought that the right click would be better for defend. So you flip out your shield to defend yourself, or if you're playing two-handed, you kind of block it with your big ass axe or whatever you have.
Sure.
And there's a couple other minor differences to help that. So defend on mage is Q, and so that means Q is ranged attack on the warrior, that sort of thing. Now for rogue, well, actually for mage and warrior, you have a second like play style available to you. So you
Hmm.
have in mage, you have the sword and orb and the staff. In warrior, you have the two-handed and the sword and board. And then rogue is funny because it kind of became the mage, where you just have a dagger, and if you want to do a long range, then you pull out the arrow. You don't get to switch to another thing.
Okay, interesting.
Now, can you have a build that's all about using your ranged attack? Absolutely. But like you don't get to like push a button and then switch out and it's this whole other thing. Or at least when I played a little bit of it, I was not able to do that. So
Right.
yeah, I
I
thought
mean,
that was kind of interesting.
I think it is interesting. I'm super interested in the fact that they have this, and I appreciate that you came with that much detail about the keybinds. Now, I am assuming that in the final build, or maybe even in the one you had,
Hmm.
fully remappable.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay,
Even I was playing, I'm sitting here. I like having my Dragon Age games mostly match in like key bindings so I don't get confused. So for
sure,
instance, in Dragon Age Inquisition, I remapped the pause button to spacebar to match with
of
all the
course,
other games. And
because you're a
then
civilized human being. Like that's what it should be.
exactly. And so as I'm playing there, I kept wanting to pull up my like radial menu with all the companion abilities, which kind of pauses combat to space, but it's something else completely. So I was even thinking I should rebind it while I was there, but I didn't want to like waste time figuring out the rebind, which it
Sure.
wasn't that hard to figure out. I just couldn't be fucked with it, to be honest. So
Hey, priorities when you're on a limited time frame. So that was a smart move.
basically. Um yeah.
So interesting, and again, this is the default keybinds. Like you said, it's remappable. I think it's interesting though that Rogue doesn't have defense to right click. I kind of agree with the decision to have Warrior there. They
Mhm.
mentioned in one of the videos Rogue gains a smaller parry window.
Mhm.
Is that accurate?
I don't think I played enough to be able to, like, really give a good answer to that.
Okay. I mean, I
So
like parrying, and like, and I feel like
mhm.
Rogue is going to be maybe the class I play first, even though I freaking love mages in Dragon Age.
Now here's the thing, parry also like, the parry window also depends on what's the word for it? The difficulty you're playing. If you're playing on a harder mode, your parry window can be
Oh, right.
shorter. So
Yeah.
I was playing Baby's First Story Keeper mode, so I probably had like an hour to parry if I really wanted to. Uh, so
And also,
you know,
can mages also parry or just block?
I think they can parry. Here's the, again, I a lot was going on. I am terrible with game mechanics, and things are just kind of happening. Jordan, I'll be real. I am the weakest person. I'm the worst person to ask hardcore game
That's okay.
mechanics to.
That's okay. You brought us mad details on character creator and also lore things. We will forgive the
Thank you, thank you.
the parry details not being included. Um. Okay. All right. So we got some different stuff on classes. Any favorite ability from mage or any of them?
Hmm. I
I do
forget.
think the dagger and
Hmm?
orb sounds cool. I don't know why. I
It.
just think that sounds cool.
I just love the little orb buddy. He's so cute.
Yeah.
He's just the cutest. I love him to death. I so okay, when we were playing, okay, so I started with warrior and I got through that, and then I kind of switched between mage and rogue depending on what section I was in. The problem with switching up between but between the sections and not playing warrior again is that I they taught me how to do warrior, and if you remember, the key bindings are slightly different. So when
Hmm.
I went to the later parts of the section and it was a lot deeper combat suddenly, I was like, oh no, I don't remember anything now. So it's hard to say what my favorite ability was. I was quite fond of when one of the starting abilities for warrior is you just drop kick someone. You just say fuck
Oh, the drop
you,
kick. Okay,
and
yeah.
you drop kick them, and I thought that was quite fun. Um, and that was pleasant. So I'm gonna say
Okay.
that was the one that stands out to me the most because I made the biggest Kunari you can make, and
I
it was
was right
quite
about to say
yeah.
that.
And I was just sitting there like I'm gonna smash. smash
giant
someone in the
freaking
wall.
Kunari just drop.
Mhm.
Although a little bitty dwarf drop kicking someone is also going to be hilarious.
I was between. I'm sitting there in character creator. I'm like, I don't know if I should make the biggest Kunari or the smallest dwarf, and I ended up going biggest Kunari. But I now kind of wish I did smallest dwarf just to see it. To be honest.
Okay. I mean, okay. Side note, quick question.
Hmm.
People roundly mocked that some of the cinematic camera angles did not adapt very well to short or tall
Hmm.
characters in Inquisition. That has been remedied in the Veilguard.
So that was definitely why I chose Kunari or dwarf. Because I wanted to see what that was like. I saw no issues with Kunari. Kunari, it looked perfectly natural with everything else. I do wish I could have played dwarf more to test more of that. But like, yeah, no, it wasn't like Inquisition would do this thing where you're playing Kunari where it would just like pan up. And so you're like looking up at your character's nose and or like your head's kind of in frame but the top of your head's gone. No, like I was fully in frame, things work out, it does good. It wasn't any of that like up your nose shots. So I'm assuming the dwarf is the same, however I have not personally seen it.
Okay, good stuff and fantastic to hear. How do the animations feel?
I thought they were good. I will say that it was interesting to watch because what recently came out that people were memeing on that the NPC animation wasn't good. There was one, I think it was an IGN video where like some of the NPC animations were lackluster. And what I thought was interesting was in the sections that were allowed to record, I actually thought the NPC interactions were good. And then as we went to the ones we're not allowed to record, it almost looked like I think part of the reason we're not allowed to record that section is that they're still working on it a little bit. And I think the NPC interactions are part of that, to be quite honest. So I'm wondering if like the stuff we saw in that video where people did not like the NPC interactions was because it
Yeah,
hasn't really been touched on yet.
yeah.
So but like when you're in a cutscene and like it's an important cutscene, like there, I just had no issues with anything. Like I thought it was fine.
Right.
Even later on in the other sections we weren't allowed to record, like yeah, no, when it was in a cutscene and someone was supposed to be emoting, it looked good. It was just like it's random shopkeeper X, what do you think, and it just dead face, like. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, like as long as the emotion is there when it's supposed to be there, I'm not mad at it.
I
Shopkeeper X not emoting doesn't bother me.
I think that that's the standard fare at this point. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't like to belabor the point or go into it that much because I basically feel exactly what you just said. And
Hmm.
I think most games are doing that where there's clearly here's the A tier or S tier or whatever you want to say animations. And then here's the shopkeeper animations because they don't need to be as good.
Hmm. Hmm.
I feel like that's standard fare nowadays. I do think BioWare has gotten and will continue to get more scrutiny, whether that's fair or not fair. They're going to get more scrutiny because of Andromeda.
Yeah, face is tired memes. It's gone.
Faces
Yeah.
tired memes, and that's what. Even though in Anthem, if you looked at their premium cutscene moments in Anthem, the facial animations were not just good; they were really good. They kind of already addressed it. Like they had bad moments in those maybe like shopkeeper
Mhm.
conversations, but I would say in the top moments in Anthem, the facial animations were actually quite good.
Yeah, no, and like I would say whatever we saw in the prologue, that quality I think is what you see for most of like the good cutscenes or like most of the cutscenes. So,
Okay, good, excellent. This is a thing from the IGN video, or I guess
mhm.
also from the content that you played, and so many comments. Smooth Kunari. Is there any difference in what you've seen? Do you agree with that as an opinion? I mean,
Okay, I think that there is a short list of things that like I think is going to be on the top list for the Nexus most downloaded mods, and I do think this is going to be on the Nexus top downloaded mods. Now that said, the Kunari that they built for that gameplay, I think just went for a young boy look, and that's what it is. You can definitely make the forehead shorter and a little bit more not like a six head. So like that that was just a choice of the creator, frankly. And as far as like the smooth texture, I going through the textures, they are definitely more smooth than Inquisition's. Inquisition had like slimy face textures, but there were
sure, they
pores.
looked a bit wet.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were just wet, but they looked more realistic and more pores. I do feel like Veilguard is trying a more like I don't want to say cartoony, but it's more like a stylized. If you want to say cartoony, fine, whatever. But they don't really have pores. They do have like lined faces. Like you can have bags under your eyes and freckles and like lines on your forehead and stuff like that is there. But if you're looking for that Dragon Age 2 Kunari, like gnarled skin where the horns come out, they don't really have that. You can have more angular faces and like lines on your face and wrinkles and all that, but it's definitely a lot smoother than Inquisition's
Hmm.
was, and I think a lot of people aren't going to like that. I was
Yeah.
not personally bothered by it because I think it also part of it is the lighting where it kind of everything is a little bit glowy.
Hmm.
um I don't know how to, I didn't which I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I think it works. It fits the mood of the game. I wasn't mad at it. That again, I am also a person who wasn't particularly bothered by the slimy skin of Inquisition. So,
Mm. Oh,
we
that's
all have
interesting.
our own we all have our own mountains to climb.
Yeah.
I'm upset at Gillinane, not the face textures. So we all have our own things.
Touche. Um, I will switch to giving my opinion for 2 seconds
Yeah,
instead
go
of
for
just
it.
asking questions. I don't like it. I think the
Yeah.
smooth Kunari looks ridiculous. I think it looks bad. That's a subjective opinion. That's not a declaration of what
Hmm.
it is. That's just Jordan's opinion. But I saw that and I was like, ugh. But I didn't like the skin textures very much in Inquisition, as you kind of reference,
Hmm.
and we all started modding in the skin textures that we like. So
Yeah.
eventually that will probably be a thing, but I don't think people are off base when they say, what the heck, smooth Kunari. I'm glad to know that there's some adjustment in the forehead size
Hmm.
and some of the other details you mentioned, like, whatever, maybe having bags under the eyes or some different options for complexion and texture. I'm sure people will be able to get closer to the character that they want when they play.
Yeah, like if you look at characters like Lucanus, Nev, and Emmerich and be like, I want a face texture kind of like that, they do have those options. Don't look at Smooth Canary and go, oh my god. There is literally so the complexions are named, and there's literally one named Smooth, and I think that guy was using the smooth one. So like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
you can look like plastic if you really want to. So hey, that's just the one they
um,
choose.
Okay, let's talk about companions
Yes.
specifically. Who did you bring with you most? I assume you maybe. First of all, did you get to choose? Well, no, because you said one of the missions was the recruitment, so you wouldn't have had all of them available to you.
So in later sections that I'm not allowed to talk about, like the content of it, I was able to choose, and then in the fifth section, you could choose too.
For I guess the sections and/or characters you're allowed to talk about, who did you
Mhm.
mostly bring with you, and do you have a favorite companion yet?
I love Emmerich a lot. I because he's kind of like this is a bad comparison. This is really just about his banter, but he's kind of like the Solus in this lineup because he'll just say like fun little lore stuff as you're walking around.
Oh, that's cool.
So I quite enjoy that. So of course he came with me. I also really like Bellara, and because they have a cute little like professor student teacher relationship, and I enjoy their banter as well. I also brought Lucanus a lot, because there was some stuff with him in like the world I wanted to do. Um, and but like I don't know, they were all pretty solid to be honest. That granted, like in the prologue and stuff, you basically had to bring Nev and Harding, so those two girlies got along just fine. I think I took everybody but Davrin and Tash out now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
So, you know,
Are they more melee characters?
they are, yeah. I think I think I didn't take them because either they weren't unlocked yet or I needed to bring someone else and I wanted to have Emmerich with me and so they just kind of missed the bus. So
Okay.
sorry. But they work fine. I've played with them before in previous builds of the game.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
one thing I do want to touch on because I have a lot of people asking me this question is what about the companion health? What about companion whatever? Companions. I'm going to say it louder now because we're getting closer to release. Companions almost work like summons in this game. They're there always fighting with you. You will see them sitting there drop kicking, do whatever. They will do like regular like shoot abilities and they do damage, And then you use the radial menu to make them do bigger setup attacks, which are very helpful, and you do need to use them. I will say if you're playing on like lower levels, you can get away with not doing it. Battles are just going to take longer because that's what I did. And but they, at least in the game modes that I was messing with, which was the storyteller, which is the easiest, keeper, which is the next easiest, and then I think it's adventurer is like the medium. I forget the names of them.
Oh
I
yeah,
did.
wait. On that note, not to
Yeah.
cut you off, how
No.
many total are they?
You know what? Let me pull up the video for it so I can just give you a very confident answer on what it is. I want
Because
to
I do.
say, oh, go on.
No, I do love. It sounds like you were saying the third one is maybe aimed to be the default one, and I love a good like 5 as a base instead of the easy,
Mhm.
medium, hard thing that it used to be. I love like a good 4 or 5.
It's definitely somewhere in that range. Give me a second to scrub through all this footage.
It honestly feels like the idea of quote unquote normal difficulty doesn't fit for a lot of people. Like
Mhm.
there really does seem to be people who prefer more difficult than not, and people who don't necessarily want easy, but they want a little less difficulty, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like there's that dichotomy of quote unquote normal doesn't really make sense anymore.
Where is it? Come back.
And then there's people like me who play Mass Effect on insanity every single time now. I got one of my friends to play Mass Effect on Insanity. He's not that person to play games on the hardest difficulty, but he plays Mass Effect a lot. And I'm like, dude, you should just try it. You're probably a master at this point. And he did a full trilogy run on Insanity for the first time. And I'm like, yes,
Do you like
bringing
it?
people over. He did. He liked it. I'm bringing people over to the harder gaming difficulty movement.
I'm struggling to remember where it was in the character creator. So I'm
If
like,
you
where
if
is
you
it again?
definitely can't find it, that's okay. I'm sure we can.
It's frustrating because like I could, I just don't know where. Okay, it's whatever. It's like 4 or 5. One of them is also like a custom where you just build your own
Oh, good, good. The
whatever.
fact that it has that was going to be my next question. Is do they
Mhm.
have custom? That's awesome.
It does, yeah. And there's also a nightmare mode, and like on I think harder difficulties, but definitely nightmare, you can't turn on like god mode or whatever where you're not able to die.
Mm.
So there is that. If you want to choose a harder difficulty where you don't want to die either, you could build that in the custom, but like it's you if you want to have like the nightmare achievement or whatever, you have to keep the no death mode off. Um
Okay.
so, you know.
That's really good. I mean, I think I'm glad you mentioned that about the companions. Honestly,
Mhm.
I think I would have forgotten to ask about that, but I can kind of see it in the footage that's out there for everyone to see.
Mhm.
That's what it feels like. I really did not enjoy the way companions worked in Mass Effect Andromeda.
Mhm.
And when I see the footage that I've seen, and it kind of sounds like based on what you're saying, it is more of that. Maybe even beyond kind of the way it was in Andromeda. It might be getting quote unquote worse. But to kind of counterbalance that point a little bit, if anyone out there has played the Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, I think I'm preparing myself for that. Like they made a choice in that game where you're going to play a Star Lord, and the other members of the team are like activated abilities. And they are really there to do activated abilities. Like that's what they're there to do. They're not really going to do anything else other than that. And so it kind of ends up feeling like they're just an extension of you, and you're playing as all of them in a way, like when you activate their abilities. And I think it's going to end up feeling like that when I look at the footage.
It did kind of feel like that. It really did feel like, okay, Nev, can you do this thing? And like she'll have a line of like on it or like gonna do it or like something like that. And they all do
Yeah.
that. And then they'll even like say like they have like this prime detonator thing going on.
Yeah.
I'm stupid as hell. I don't understand it. We're just gonna bypass that. But they'll say
Uh-huh.
like primed for you, and they're like, thank you. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know what the fuck
Oh,
that
that's
means yet.
great. Actually, you know what? That might be the best thing I've heard about the combat this entire time. I'm so glad you told me that, Caitie. I'm dead ass serious. I'm so happy for that. I love priming and detonating. If you don't know, back when I used to actually upload videos on YouTube,
Mhm.
I got a whole crap ton of videos about how to prime and detonate with the highest amount of efficiency possible in Mass
Well,
Effect.
you're gonna have a field day with this bad boy then.
The fact that they do barks for they're primed, like that's so helpful actually.
Yeah,
I'm actually excited about something for the combat now.
there you go. Well, yeah, no, I think it's fun. The like during the whole time with the council, the only thing that none of us really had complaints was the gameplay. People, okay, so I was the dum dum that was like, look, if it's shiny and I can get through it, I'm just here for everyone the talky bits. But there were people who were hardcore gamers, and that was what they were there for, and they had like some actually good things and critique to actually pull off, and they all really liked it. So I feel like what
Awesome.
most people, when they get their hands on it, there's going to be something for them. I'm just give me the cute little orb and let me twirl around like a princess in Sailor Moon, and I'm that's fine. I'm good.
I look. Another reason why I mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy game,
Mhm.
I didn't particularly love that combat, but I
Mhm.
really, really, really like that game
Mhm.
because it actually has a lot of choice and consequence. It actually feels
Mhm.
oddly like a Bioware game. And fun fact, the lead writer of that game is a woman who now is a writer for Bioware.
Yeah, I actually think she's doing part of the radio drama, which we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, fun. Yeah, no, we did a whole episode when she, for some reason, I'm spacing on her name. She's a
Mary
great writer.
DeMarle.
Mary DeMarle, who is a fantastic writer. And we were very excited when she came to BioWare. And so, if it's that type of gameplay, fair enough. I too am more here for the story, honestly, than anything. But okay, we've covered a lot. How you doing on time? You still good for a little bit more?
Yeah, I got a little bit more in me.
Okay. Talked about the combat a little bit more. We talked about animations. Okay, you know what? Just going back real quick for a split second on character creator.
Yes.
It's not anything that for me, but I'm imagining others may be interested. Makeup options. How did you feel about what was in there?
Okay, here's the thing. I am a woman. I do apply makeup sometimes.
I've noticed.
Really? Oh. No,
you said that so matter of factly. I was like, Caitie, we know.
There was a couple episodes where you're pregnant. We kind of like gathered.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I what I just mean to say is that like I'm not a makeup person. I don't really wear makeup a lot. I'll throw on some lipstick and leave the house and it's good. So makeup options are kind of like it's like okay, they're there. I don't really use them. But that being said, I think there are a lot of good makeup options, and it's kind of like the tattoo where you can slide in and out what parts you want to use, what parts you don't. They have a couple different options. You can like they have a bunch of colors with saturation and brightness you can choose from. They also have glitter options where you can choose how the makeup refracts light. That one I had some trouble really seeing in the character creator just because like to get it to show up there was a lot of I'll be honest, I went to the makeup section last on recording all the footage, so by the time I got to the glitter and realized I had to change a whole bunch of settings just to get the glitter to show up clearly, I'm like, I'm not fucking with that. That's on me. Your results may vary. But like it frankly, the like glitter options really reminded me of nail polish in a bit where like you have like your flakies, your hollows, your whatevers. They didn't actually have hollow. I want to retract that statement before people like where are my rainbow hollows. But they have you have your glitters, your flakies, that kind of stuff. And you can try to change that. And you can change the glossiness of your lips and stuff like that. They have different types of blushes rather than just like in Inquisition where it was like how big do you want the blush to be? You can have that cute little nose blush if you really want versus like the whole cheek blush. In a way, the blush options reminded me a lot of like some of the mods I've seen for Inquisition. So I think makeup is going to be fun to see people like what they do with it. And I would say like per makeup option. So lips is their own thing, eyes is their own thing, cheeks are their own thing. With the eyes, they had 3 different I don't know, sliders, I suppose. There was like an eyeliner section, which went from like regular eyeliner to like one of them was just a big triangle on your face. Quite frankly, it looked like you can make a clown makeup, and that's going to be really funny. Um, for one of them. Some then they have like an eyeshadow that like kind of like make it's kind of big that would like, go over the eyebrow, or you can like make it a little bit more subtle, doing whatever. And then they had an option that I would say like was like 50% somewhere under the eye, 50% just like more detail on the eyelid. Um, so I would say it's probably the most in depth makeup's going to be, but I'm not proficient enough in makeup to say if people are going to love it or not. So
Well, there
I'm
you go.
interested to see what other people say of it.
I mean, I think there were parts of that I didn't even understand, but it sounds very extensive. So for everyone who wanted me to ask, you're welcome, and for everyone who's mad I didn't ask earlier, I'm sorry.
Now we already talked about tattoos, but they also have extensive scars.
Oh,
Um,
good. Yeah.
and also body scars. The scarring is, I'm gonna say, weird a little bit because of all the scar options they have. I would say of both face and body, 50% of the scars are like just like battle scars, scrapes, whatever. They do have like lightning scars, if that makes sense. For if you get like shocked by lightning, they have like that like twisty electrical looking thing. So I thought that was kind
Hmm.
of neat, and like burn marks and stuff. But then they also have just like decorative stuff. You know what I mean? They
Sure.
don't. I will say, like, I think like when you say decorative scarring, you think of like whatever was going on. I didn't actually see the movie. Was it Killmonger where he has like the African like scarification on his back?
Oh, sure. I know what you mean. Yeah.
It wasn't really that. It was like designs and stuff that were kind of like maybe similar in idea, but not like like, oh, I have seen this in African
Me-
artwork or stuff like
meant
that.
to evoke the idea that it's
Yeah.
ritual
Yeah,
scarring.
yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit.
Okay.
Stuff like that. When and like there was quite a few like number. I would even say like I wish they had more like just regular scars than decorative scars. So that was interesting. I ended up choosing a decorative scar for my Kunari because it like kind of like splayed on the forehead really pretty. I don't know how
Yeah.
else to describe that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, it's a lot of different options of stuff you could do.
Oh
You
boy.
it's pretty like I'm sitting here fretting because here's the thing. Everyone's worried about your rook. A lot of people also forget that after your rook, you are immediately going, "Oh, and what do you want your inquisitor to look like?" And you can't change that one. So if you're gonna lose
Mm,
steam on rook, where you can change later. So to bypass rook, do the inquisitor, go back to rook.
okay. Okay. That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, you can't change the Inquisitor later. You can change Rook pretty immediately. So if you're going to be unhappy on one of them, be unhappy on Rook.
That's good to know. Okay, I know we've been going for some time. One more on companions, and then maybe a
Hmm.
couple more questions after
Yeah.
that. Did you select any romance options in any of the dialogue? How does that look and feel so far from what you played?
So we were able to flirt with a couple people, but we didn't. No one got to any like kissing scenes or like I would say romance scenes.
Yeah.
It was all pretty like just normal things. So they had us set up a couple of flirts with mostly I would say Lucanus and Harding. The Lucanus one I think is already out there in IGN before all of this gets popped up online. And it's pretty mild. The Harding one I I I struggle talking about it because like it also almost a little bit spoilery talking about her magic in a little bit, but I know like by the time like this comes out, someone's already uploaded it. But she's briefly talking about. I'm trying to keep this as no spoilers as possible, but she's kind of talking about like what she's been going through and how like whatever, and then like, God, I don't know how to describe the flirt without.
It has to do with her story. It's very
Yeah,
integral to that. Yeah.
yeah, and like it's I will say I have heard earlier versions of that line though, and I wasn't a fan of it because it was kind of like awkward and whatever. And I think the current version is actually kind of cute now, and
Hmm.
I quite like what it is right now. And so I think when you were flirting with Harding and Inquisition, it was very much like a her first love kind of thing, and she was like kind of shy about it. And I think they're trying to do that for Veilguard as well. So, like, if you like the vibe Harding gave off for Inquisition, I do think that's where they're going for here, and like they're trying to keep up with that like kind of more playful banter of like a back and forth of like, oh, you're so cute. Oh, shut up. That kind of thing. So.
Okay. This is probably a bigger question.
Mm-hmm.
The writing overall, how do you feel about the pacing, the quality of the dialogue, the aesthetic, tone, feel? Do you feel like this is up to the quality of overall writing you would expect from Dragon Age?
I would say yes. It is kind of hard because like I know the past games in and out because I've played them so many times, and I only have like a small. Oh, I think I can actually say how much of the game I've officially played now because I've heard the verbiage out. But I've played through Act 1. I played all of Act 1, or at least an earlier version of it. But
Oh,
before
good.
this
Okay.
event.
Excellent.
I only know like a small part of the game really, and I haven't
Yeah.
even done the side content.
3 acts?
I don't think I'm allowed to say how many acts there are.
Okay. Okay. So
But
you're through Act 1.
I'm
Okay.
through Act 1. And or I have played through early versions of Act 1 where I did not do the side content. Now it's interesting to see like when we played the alpha build, I went on the plane back home and I thought, I had always imagined what my channel would be like if Dragon Age got canceled. I never thought of what happened if Dragon Age was bad. So I was like, oh no. Hmm. Uh, but I think just like I don't know if it was based on our feedback or we just saw extremely early versions of it. I have no idea. But coming back now, like I am so excited about some of the stuff we saw. Like I like the writing I thought was good. I would say like there's not like a quote in my head that like really stuck with me for this time around, but when the second time we played, there's something Belara says in one of her companion quests that has still stuck with me and is in my head, and I am quite captured by it. And I don't think I can quote it unfortunately, but it resonated with me. So, and I'm sure that line is still in the is going to be in the release version. But yeah, I am completely happy with how the writing is, with how everything's going. I think every iteration I've seen of this game, things have only gotten better and more polished, and something that I think I'm really going to like enjoy consuming. Um, so yeah, I good stuff. I think if you're here for the writing, we're great. We're golden. This is our game. I can see people that are hesitant about the gameplay and stuff. I totally hear you. But if you're here for the writing, and I think I've said this before many times, like sit back, relax, and Halloween's going to be great for us.
I mean, to your point about it improving, games get better, right? I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about developing games, but every game developer I've heard who has touched on kind of that topic basically says some version of the same thing, which is games almost seem like they're not working at all until the very end
Mm-hmm.
of development, meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And every great game we've ever played was actually probably a hot mess when it was in the middle of development.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like what you're saying, and the fact that you were able to play an alpha build is just bearing out that is in fact true.
Yes. Yes.
Kind of a sub point to the writing.
Mm-hmm.
IGN talked about like Darkspawn and how much, I mean, if you want to use the term blight, is like involved in this. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's related to tone. Some
Ah.
people said Dragon Age doesn't have the dark tone anymore. Do you agree with that based on what you've played? And I know you're a big fan of Inquisition, so am I.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically for the Dragon Age Origins people who
Mm-hmm.
think that game had a tone that has never been captured since in the series, do you think that this game changes that a little bit? Not at all.
Hmm. I'll be honest, I am one of those people that when people say that like Dragon Age Origins had this dark tone, I have to sit there and go, did it?
It had a lot of silliness for sure.
Yeah, like it had some silliness. It had light moments. Like Alistair does nothing but crack jokes from the time you recruit him. From the time you meet him, one of his first lines is a joke. He's always cracking jokes. Like but he gets serious. Like there are moments of that seriousness. And I do think that like everyone likes to point to the Deep Roads quest for like, oh, this is where it digs dark and gritty. I would say City Elf 2, let's be real.
Sure.
That kind of stuff. And at least for what I saw, like, there definitely were those moments of like, oh, oh, we're going here. Okay. I should say there isn't like any like, sexual assault stuff like there was in Origins. I can't imagine anyone would publish that in 2024, to be quite honest. But, um, like, there was one particular quest that I'm sure is going to be all over online when this is whatever. I'm just kind of hesitating to say story spoilers. That's in it's not the prologue and it's not like the first mission, but it's like the second mission you do. That's pretty, I would say, like, oh, this is the reality of the blight. This is what the blight
Yeah.
does. And then this is also the threat of what was released. You know what I mean? Um so there's definitely that. And one of the things that we're not allowed to talk about, but we can hint about is at section 3, which you have noticed I have not spoken much of, was a big choice. And that big choice leads to a big consequences.
Can
And
companions die?
okay, so people who went to the event aren't going to know that. And I kind of know a little bit of it, but not enough. I don't think I could say.
Okay.
It's
That's that's a no. That's a huge question, and if you can't say, don't say. Don't. I think I blurted that out without even
no, that's
considering
fine.
whether or not you're allowed to say it. I just got excited. I'm like, are we going
No.
there?
So they okay. From my knowledge, that's a hard question to answer because it's a little bit tricky, and that's where I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, I think that's
Ah,
totally fair. For Caitie, who knows things, that is where she should leave it. For Jordan and everyone else who knows nothing,
yeah.
let us fucking kill some companions.
Yeah, I will say that I believe there is a Q&A where they say you can, and I just want to give like a mm,
Look,
just
when I say kill some companions, well, let me preface that two ways. Life and death choices, I think,
mhm,
make RPGs so much better. So there's
mhm.
that aspect of it. Like you like all your companions, and it just breaks your heart, but you have to choose. I think that makes sense. There is also, I think, some real empowerment in games that are about choice to be like, I don't like you, I'm going to kick you off a cliff. Not every game can
Yeah.
allow for that based on story and how integrated they all are to the main quest, but I think it's freaking awesome when it happens.
Now, one thing I want to say, and I want to give the biggest asterisk here is like I'm not promising anything. I don't actually know,
Yeah.
but there is a system that reminds me a lot of Mass Effect 3 where you have to there's six factions that you have to work with and you gain reputation from each of those. And it reminds me a lot of Galactic Readiness.
Galactic Readiness, yeah.
Yeah, and I know there is a menu where you can look at it. I did not personally go and look at it when I was playing,
Oh, cool.
but or at least I think there's one. It's
Yeah, I
you
mean,
see
I
different
could see that.
iterations. It mixes, but
Yeah, that's a neat way to sort of, at least in some way, say all of your choices matter. Maybe you helped some small minor character, but they give you some amount of boost to some sort of calculation for your ending. And
so
again, that's just me saying that based off of ME3.
yeah, and so my hope, my theory, I don't know what's true. Do not, if I see someone quoting saying, Caitie said this is going to happen, I'm going to say, no, I didn't. I just hope it is that like there's sort of a, like, if you don't have enough reputation with all of them, there's a fail state where like the whatever the final battle is, you fuck it up. Maybe people die because of it. Maybe there's a suicide mission. I don't know. I
Yeah,
would love a Dragon Age suicide mission, you know. And like
that'd be kind of
I
dope.
think the mechanics are there where you could do something like that.
Yeah,
Now if that actually happens, I honestly don't know, but that's kind of the vibe that I would say I'm getting.
right.
Now, who knows what actually is? But
Okay.
I'm going into this game hoping I see that.
Awesome. Okay. I mean, based on everything you've shared about the writing overall,
Mhm.
and you are someone who has spent a lot of time with these games, and I don't think your bar is low
Mhm.
for the quality of writing. So I am for one very excited to hear that you like what you're seeing from a writing and story standpoint.
Yeah, and, like, I will say, like, I definitely have my critiques of past Dragon Age games. I really dislike Mark of the Assassin. I will
Yeah, we all
constantly
do.
I will constantly, say negative things about that. And then, like, a couple of the other like, I thought Liliana's song was fine when it wasn't trying to be too aggressively 2000s. You know what I mean?
Which is actually the whole time, Katie, if you remember.
Yeah, it was up there. And, there's other things I have problems with, but so far, as far as the writing, there wasn't anything that I got mad or upset about or went, "Ugh, this is awful."
Right.
Like I haven't had one of those moments. Um, I will say in section 4 that I cannot talk about, there was a moment where I, like, gasped out loud at, like, the twist of it, and, like, immediately turned, and a friend of mine on the council named Bria and Ash, Lady Insanity, and, they had skipped it to try to get footage for section 5, which was, something we could record, and I was like, "You guys better play this goddamn section so I can talk about this as someone," and as I'm doing my own thing, we all move on. Independently, I then hear 2 other gasps behind me when they got to it. It was like, yeah. We were like, "Oh my god." So,
I think that we're very excited. I'm very
yes.
excited to see what this is going to be like.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you really want to tell the folks about what you have played thus far? I pelted you with questions. Is there
Mhm.
anything I missed? Basically, what is the main thing you want to tell folks about what you've played so far?
Um, I'm gonna have a okay. I might have something else, but, like, if this is the first bit of the event that you've heard and you wanna go out looking for more, I do wanna say proceed with caution. There is a lot of stuff out there that I don't really wanna publish because I think it's a little bit on the spoiler territory, to be quite honest. And, like, I don't want you to get spoiled. So like, we're really trying to, like, not do that on this and this, like, stuff that comes out on my channel. But not everyone's going to have that or even know what they're looking at is a spoiler. So I want you to exercise caution that if you are sensitive about spoilers, you might want to avoid things. And especially for people, like, there was a bunch of people there who did not know much about Dragon Age, to be quite honest. And so they're not gonna use a hashtag. They're not gonna know what they have as a spoiler. So, like, you're gonna have to be careful. And I
Hmm.
just want to say exercise caution from now until Halloween. Now, is it world ending? I like, is the biggest reveal ever going to be revealed? No, but I think that the things that I'm thinking about are going to be more impactful while in the game, and you kind of get to see it for your own eyes, because I think, like, if you just see it a clip of it, it's going to not hit as hard as you would in the game. Now, things I want to tell about the game, that I just want to talk about. It's already out there, but I at least want to give a story of it. Um, the gist is, have you heard that there is resumable banter?
Yes, I have heard there is resumable banter.
So I want to give a verbal description of, like, how it kind of works.
Okay.
Because I feel like in the IGN thing, she didn't really give, like, an example of it, or at least you
Okay.
couldn't hear it. So I am out with Lucanus and Emmerich, and we're running around just a section that there's battles in, but there's nothing there. And Emmerich starts saying something, and I forget what he was saying. And immediately something gets in our way. We start fighting. They're doing their barks, and the battle ends. And Emmerich says, "Anyway, as I was saying," and he repeats the question. And I was like, "Oh, that was really good." And it wasn't like it just starts suddenly again. Like,
Hmm.
the character says, like, "Oh, we got interrupted," or, "Excuse me, what did you say?"
Right.
Like, they actually have little, like, things that they say that make it more natural, and I thought that was so cute.
I love that. When I heard that, I was very, very excited to hear that in the IGN preview.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more glad to hear that it works the way that you just described, where they contextualize the interruption.
Mm-hmm.
That is very much like the way they handle similar dialogue in the God of War games that have come out.
Oh yeah.
There's a character named Mimir who tells like stories when you're in the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and if you get to where you're going and hop off the boat, he goes, "Well, anyway, I'll finish this up next time."
Yeah.
And then you get back in the boat, and he goes, "Oh yeah," as I was continuing on with that story, and I think that's such a immersive feature to contextualize it. So like, kudos to Bioware for going that route.
There is another feature that I think people are going to appreciate. So a lot of people are worried about missing a conversation because it's time limited. So they've already shown like in the hub, which I'm not going to verbally describe more than that. They have a light that comes on when the companion has a cutscene. Another thing that happens is that on your mini map, it'll have a little icon where your companion is to show that they have a conversation. And if it's going to be time locked by something, there is a little alarm clock by icon by that conversation. So you know that you have to go do this now or pretty soon. And I thought that was a really nice quality of life thing as well.
That's so cool. That's very, very good. And yeah, that's definitely them understanding the players, because I have that fear as well. Like, I don't want to miss something critical. So yeah, kudos. Bravo to them.
Another thing, again, I'm going to be very vague about it. So the hub. The hub is big. Not like it might be smaller than Skyhold. I don't know. And maybe it's the same size, but it's a good size. What I quite enjoyed is that there's puzzles in the hub,
Oh,
and it unlocks things.
good.
And I'm going to end it there. But I was chewing at my keyboard about the thing I unlocked. And that one of the I only unlocked one thing. I think I could have done more. I just didn't really spend a lot of time in the hub.
Yes.
And that one is able to be published, so someone might actually have it out there. But yeah, I unlocked it and I just sat there. Oh, Jordan, we need to talk about photo mode.
Is photo mode in? Did he do
Photo
it?
mode's in. He did it.
Oh, let's go, photo mode guy.
Yeah. Photo mode's back in. Yeah, I am now wondering if they stepped back photo mode because the IGN thing was already out, and IGN had the exclusive rights to photo mode release news or something like
Oh
that.
man, freaking photo mode guy. He did it. He saved us.
He did it. And so how photo mode works is you press the escape. Okay, there's probably a button on controller. Me, the dumb with the computer, and I just always press escape key for everything. Escape key, and there's a big button where you like save, load, menu, photo mode. Poop,
Brilliant.
click the photo mode. And I quite like it. It's real good. There's like a whole bunch of different options for like, the lighting, the saturation. You can make your NPC invisible. You can make other NPCs and enemies invisible. Like you can do.
Ooh, is there helmet toggle in general, and is it in photo mode menu?
There is helmet toggle. It's not in the photo mode menu.
Okay.
But yeah, and one feature that I quite enjoyed of it, when I was in the thing that I unlocked, there was something I wanted to look at, and I'm sitting there like, God damn it, I can't really see this very well, and I was like, oh my god, can I do this? I went into photo mode. There is a fly around free cam, and so I snapped into that. And I zoomed in on it and I turned up the saturation. It was like, oh my god, I can see this so clearly now. So if you want to go look at the weird little art assets anywhere you are, photo mode that bitch. It's amazing. Now I have some like that information has been kind of floating out of like you can free cam the photo mode. I don't know why I didn't try to do it, but Kayla did. You cannot glitch through walls. There are limitations to it. But it's still like a lot better than nothing, I suppose. And I imagine it wouldn't be that hard if you're a PC player for someone to like edit the bounds where you can change that.
Right.
So I was quite thrilled with it, to be quite honest. So.
Fantastic. I am ecstatic that photo mode is in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So console players rejoice. You're going to have some wonderful screenshots to share with everybody.
Bravo. I do have one more question. I lied.
Yes.
I do have one
Yeah,
final
no, that's
question.
fine.
What's something that either seems rough or has otherwise disappointed you in what you have played? I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you and I both are very predisposed to like this game and we're biased towards Bioware, but you got to give me something. There's got to be something that has
that's
disappointed
fair.
you or seems rough about the game.
Okay, my real answer is lame because I keep saying it, so I'll try to think of another one. My real answer is the pronunciation of Gillenon and Ghildirthalen. We're going to move on with that.
Okay, lore nerd noted.
Yeah, that will forever be. Is it? No, I'm not going to say it like that.
But besides the pronunciation,
besides the pronunciation, Oh no, you know what it is? I can't talk about it. Damn.
Is it purely a story thing, like a story choice that they did?
Not really. So kind of, sort of. Damn. Yeah, my one critique that I think is going to be upsetting. I can't talk about. And it is unfortunate.
Geez.
I know.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
I know.
Is it related to a character?
If you keep playing 20 questions, I know. I'm trying to. Okay, now I'm trying to like.
Something about it is disappointing, but Caitie can't say. Well, that's pretty encouraging then that it's only one thing. That means it has to be related to a spoiler, obviously, is why you can't say it. It's not a gameplay thing, I would assume.
Yeah, it's not a gameplay thing, I guess. It's hard to define. It's hard to define.
Okay.
Let me tell you this though.
Yes.
You'll find out quickly.
Oh, okay. We won't have long to wait.
Yeah. You'll know. And that said, I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't think it's a game breaker. But like yeah, when you're going through it and you're going, "Oh, think of me." Think of me.
Think of me.
Think of me.
All right, we've been at it for about 90 minutes ish. I think we've pretty much covered it. What's next? Is there something next that people should be looking out for between now and release?
I know IGN has whole stuff this whole month. I generally don't know what it is. After IGN month, which all September is just IGN month, I genuinely don't know what's next.
Well, you have footage that you will be allowed to share starting on, well, by the time this is released, you will be in the area where you can share your footage. What should people expect, say, from what you're doing?
So I have a video coming out where so when you're starting your rook and you choose what faction you want to be a part of, you get a blurb about your backstory. And
fun.
So I have a video coming out about those blurbs, about the faction, and then also what Rook's last name is. What is Rook's first name? I say it in the video. I'll say it here. They actually randomized the first names. They just have a word bank in their system, and so there's not really like it's not like an Alana Llewellyn that is going to be for this game.
Okay.
So there is that. I also I was able to interview John Epler.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, who was very kind. Oh, I messed it up so bad, Jordan. Okay, quick behind the scenes. Yeah, I was like, okay, I have quite a lot of bravado, and I am loud online on my little computer in my house. You get me outside of that place into a room full of real people that can see me, and I start shaking like a little chihuahua. I have met Epler before. Like, this isn't my first time meeting him. Sure. And he's been very kind, but for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, he's super tall. He's kind of a big guy, and I don't know why that intimidates me. So he's perfectly kind. Everyone who I've ever said is he's a really nice guy. I'm the weirdo here. I want to be very clear. So I got really nervous while interviewing him because I'm just not used to doing that. And I had a backup recording on my phone because I always know you always take backups recording. And then I did miss 2 questions on my like actual nice recorder I got to record because I forgot to press play or whatever the record. And so like in the audio, I've cut it out probably in when I release. But I asked 2 questions, and John, he's given a really good answer. And then I say, "Well, John, those are great questions, but I have to turn on my recorder now."
Holy crap, that's funny.
And I'm just mortified.
Okay, so we have backgrounds coming up and an interview with John Epler, which is mostly complete. It's
Mostly
pretty exciting.
Well, everything got recorded. It's just like the first couple questions have shit audio. I mean, quite frankly, it's all shit audio because they only had one room, so you have all these background noises. You can hear people opening cans. I'm doing my best to edit it out, but it's a hopeless cause. It's just we're doing our best. And then like I do have the goods for the details of character creator. Frankly, I'm going to wait a little bit on that just to see what everyone else comes out, and then I'll try to fill in any holes where people aren't doing it. And I do also have some footage of me playing around with photo mode. I'm going to try to feel out what other people want to see and release what other people aren't. That's kind of what I'm going for because I don't really have a lot of time to edit everything I want to do. So I'm trying to be like, what are people not doing, and I'll fill in the holes. That's my content schedule. If I got the backgrounds, because that's very uniquely, no one else gave a shit about me but me. So we got that.
Yeah.
The interview, and then kind of seeing what other people do. That's my schedule.
This is freaking awesome. I think it's an abundance of riches. We went for years where there was basically nothing to talk about. I mean, I don't even think we've actually discussed in detail like the progression deep dives. Is that after we did the last episode? There's all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot, yeah. We have
may
missed
or may
stuff.
Not have talked about.
Yeah.
So it's exciting stuff, exciting times. Caitie, where can the folks find you?
You can find me at Ghildirthalen on YouTube and Twitter. Probably not, to be honest. But Jordan, can people think about contacting you or finding you anywhere?
I keep showing up to do these podcasts. Other than that, you may not find me.
I fear that if we ever stop doing this one day, you would never be heard from again online.
That's probably true.
Yeah,
I think that's actually probably true. I mean, I'll be fine. Everything's great, and I'm living a great life. I'm very lucky.
Good.
But other than that, I try to stay away from online social things.
Frankly, you're probably better for it.
Maybe I am.
Yeah. So with that, everybody, I am so excited for everyone to see what everyone's been cooking, and the rest are all.
And then the music plays.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's the food?
Well, okay, now you have to include the food bit. We can't just cut the food bit out.
Oh, no, I'm going to put it in. I'm going to throw it in after the music. The people will hear the music play, and then we're going to do this as a tag. I just wanted, is EA cheap when they throw an event like this, or are they like going all out?
Okay, so it was like a buffet style type of thing.
Okay.
I have had cheap buffets. These weren't cheap buffets.
Okay.
But that does not mean it was a good buffet.
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
This was like it was not literally from Applebee's, but it was like an Applebee's quality buffet where like I'm eating it and I don't love it, but I'm also not like that mad at it. This probably also tells you where my food grade quality is that I don't say Applebee's I don't get mad at. But
I honestly, it's a mixed bag when it comes to how companies do these things. Sometimes it actually most of the time I think it's about what you've described.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's hardly ever stellar. It's like going to a wedding that has great food, in my opinion. I think most weddings don't have good food.
No, it was like that. We're like, it's edible, but like it's just mass produced quick food that has to sit under like a little flame for a couple hours. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it got the job done. I mean, they had, you said it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was an all day event, so they had they had to make their food budget go across 3 meals. And how many people were there? I feel like I'm seeing content creators all of the ones that I know, basically, who are freaking there, it sounds
So
like.
there were actually 2 days. There was day 1, which apparently a lot of the international, because there were people from overseas, went to
Nice.
that day. The only person I knew that was there was a guy named Uni Fadewalker. I don't know if you've seen him around.
Mm-mm.
Named Eddie. Super nice. It was actually wonderful to meet him. And then the day that I went was day 2, and that was more of like the US based people in the council. So like Harry Headed Hedgehog, he's from the UK, but he was on the council, but they wanted to keep us
Yeah.
together, so they flew him on day 2.
Okay,
Um
nice.
and so yeah, I think I was asking Violet, who is the new she so okay. BioWare does not have a marketing team. They use EA. So she works for EA, and she's
Okay.
the EA person in charge of not in charge, but she works with the marketing team, and she was kind of like our uh I don't want to say like substitute, not substitute teacher. What's a good word? Chaperone. She was our chaperone for the
Handler.
evening.
She was kind of
She
the
was our
handler. Yeah.
handler. Yeah, she was our handler
Yeah.
and chaperone. I was asking how many people went. She's like, I think it was about 140 people overall.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So there's quite a lot of people there. It was I have a fun story.
Okay.
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 So I it it was the end of day 2, and we were all just kind of talking, staying up late with people, a lot of people I've seen from Twitter, and it's like talking with them and making small talk and whatever. And it was getting very late, and I was very tired, so I went to go say goodnight to Kayla, who had wandered off to go talk to someone else. And I see her talking with this guy, and I go over, and it was like, oh, Kayla, it's getting late, but I'm heading up. Nice to meet you. And the guy was like, hey, and Kayla's like, no, introduce yourselves. So I'm like, so I felt really weird introducing myself as Ghildirthalen, because I think that's strange. And like, I don't know, like no one's gonna know who I am. I'm a very small channel. Like I know my place here. So I was like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm Caitie. And this guy looks at me and he says, oh, nice to meet you. I'm so and so. And it was also very clear that he didn't want to say who he was either. And there was a moment that passed between us of like, at least in my side, of like, you know what? I get it. He doesn't want to say who he is online. I completely understand this. I am good just knowing his first name, and we don't need to know anything else. And then Kayla, exasperated, was like, oh, God, this is Ghildirthalen, and then this is Shinobi.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I was like, oh, and he's like, oh, I think I know who you are. And I'm like, I don't know why you know who I am.
That's sick and dope. Look, man, I've said this over and over again. Having a podcast in 2020 is like being in a band in 1995. It's the most accurate thing I've ever said on Twitter, because it's 100% true.
He was very nice.
I'm sure he was.
But
Thank God for Shinobi. I don't know what we'd do without him.
No, he was super chill. Yeah, it was very funny how like I'm sitting there like, he doesn't want to say who he is. I completely respect that.
Yeah.
Like I am totally there with you. And Kayla's like, oh my God, you two, shut the fuck up.
It's so funny. Like, I don't know. Do you know who Luke Stevens is?
No.
So Luke Stevens was there. He's a content creator I quite like. And I guess he was at the event. I don't know what day he was there. He was sitting next to Wolfheart FPS. I don't know if you know him.
I saw a lot of people. I don't know any of their names. So if you show me a picture, I might have seen them.
Okay, yeah. So they were both like, they're both people who are like on camera, their faces out there. But he was talking about how like he took a picture, and I think he did something to like block out other people. So it was just him and Wolfheart, because he mentions like, hey, there's a bunch of people here who they do content, but they don't show their face. And it's just like, when he said that, I was like, I wonder if that was Caitie who got cut out of that picture.
I don't think so, because I've seen a lot of the photos from the event already, because we were allowed to post them. And like there's been 2 where I squint and go, oh, that's the back of my head. Oh, I did get lucky where like at one point I'm sitting there, I'm playing, I'm like, man, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I get up, and as I'm walking away, I look over, and there's this guy with this intense looking camera. Like he is there from EA, and he's like going down the aisle I was on, looking at all the people that were playing. Meanwhile, there's my empty desk, and like we had name cards like on the desk to let you know who wears. So like there is entirely plausible there is some EA event footage where it's going by and it shows the name Caitie with an empty desk, and I'm sitting there by the bathrooms going, thank God I needed to piss.
Oh, that's funny, man.
I got really lucky there. So
They have your name card and an empty desk, evidence that you were there.
yeah, and I think my purse was still there. So yeah, it was fun, and it was. What was really funny was that there was a couple people where I would say, "Oh, I'm Caitie." Kayla would go, "Oh my fucking god, just tell people you're Ghildirthalen." And I go, "Oh, and yeah, I do the YouTube thing." They go, "Oh my god, it's you!" And I'm like, "No, you know who I am? That's so weird."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people
so
were excited to put a face to the name of. I mean, I think probably most people who look up lore have found your channel at some point. So.
yeah, I got a couple people saying like, "Oh yeah, I looked up your stuff when I was coming here," and I was like, "Oh, I'm glad. Did it work?"
Yeah, totally.
The funniest person to meet was actually Eddie, because like we had talked before, but he has no idea what it looks like. So he's talking with Kayla, and I walk over there with purpose, and he's like kind of looking at me like I like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Caitie, and he goes, oh, hi.
That's awesome.
Of course you are. I'm like, yeah, you know. So yeah, it was a really fun couple days. Food was edible.
It's about what we should expect from me. I'll allow it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Good to know. Good to hear. This is going to be a really long ass bonus
Yeah, sorry
section.
about that.
The people are excited. They'll listen with glee. All right. Well, we already ended the episode, so the episode's over again. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.